given a surprise address in Tripoli's Green Square following another day of violence in Libya. The defiant leader told a crowd of supporters he was prepared to arm his people to defeat the enemy. In another part of the capital, militia loyal to the Libyan leader have fired on pro-democracy protesters. A draft UN Security Council resolution says the violence in the country may amount to crimes against humanity. It's calling for an investigation by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Libya's ambassador to the UN has made a plea for help.
Please, United Nations, save Libya. No to bloodshed, no to killing of innocents. We want a decisive, a rapid and a courageous resolution from you.
And a US-chartered ferry carrying hundreds of foreigners who were trying to flee the violence in Libya has finally arrived in Malta. It was scheduled to leave Tripoli on Wednesday, but had been delayed because of rough weather. Nadim Baba has more now on the day's events.
Gunfire in Tripoli as the fight for Libya's capital intensifies. Film it, they shout, as security forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi fire on protesters. These pictures were filmed after Friday prayers. Anti-government demonstrators converged on the capital from towns all around. Several people were reportedly killed. Libya's leader has claimed the protesters across the country are influenced by both Al-Qaeda and hallucinogenic drugs. On Friday, he appeared in front of supporters in Green Square, insisting the population was behind him.
The Libyan people, if I'm not loved by my people, I don't deserve to live. If my people, the Arab and African peoples, and all peoples do not love Muammar al-Gaddafi does not deserve to live only for one day.
How much of this he believes is anyone's guess. Despite these pictures, Gaddafi officials admit large parts of Libya are now controlled by his opponents. What is clear is Gaddafi won't be pushed aside easily. This sermon shown on state television pressing home the message.
As the Prophet Messenger said, if you dislike your ruler or his behaviors, you should not raise your sword against him, but be patient, for those who disobey the rulers will die as infidels.
Hours later, Colonel Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, gave a defiant TV interview, picking up on his father's theme of death.
Your sisters, brothers, or even your father to leave the Libya one day to another country?
Yes. We have plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A is to live and die in Libya. Plan B is to live and die in Libya. Plan C is to live and die in Libya.
All the while, the violence claims more victims. One protester sheltering with some of the injured in Tripoli described the scene to Al Jazeera.
Gunfiring is still heavily heard around us, and as I said, we are taking refuge with people we don't know and they don't know us. Other people are taken detained alive at gunpoint. Also hear the gunfiring and shooting around me. It is very heavy and intense.
Thousands have again taken to the streets of Benghazi in the east, firmly under opposition control, hoping Gaddafi's stronghold will soon fall. The protesters' momentum is being kept up by a steady stream of Colonel Gaddafi's loyalists deserting him.
They are asking for democracy, they are asking for progress, they are asking for freedom, they are asking for their rights. They demonstrated peacefully, they didn't throw a single stone. They were killed.
It remains unclear exactly how many soldiers Gaddafi has at his disposal in the capital to protect him. Those who want him out are close though, perhaps very close. Nadim Baba, Al Jazeera.
One of Gaddafi's sons, Saif al-Islam, says he hopes to negotiate a ceasefire by Saturday. Speaking to reporters in Tripoli, he claims security forces were told to hold back on fighting to give peace a chance. But earlier on Friday, Turkish television aired a recorded interview with Saif, where he promised to defeat those behind the uprising.
We don't destroy the oil. The oil is for the Libyans. We don't kill our people because of our people. But we will never, ever let our people walk alone in this dark time. Never, ever. We are now united, all of us, and we will fight to the end. And we will get rid of those terrorists.
Back to Libya now, and reports of unrest in the capital, Tripoli. For more, I'm joined live in the studio by Tariq Youssef, Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institute in Washington. Thanks for joining us. I just want to get firstly to the statements being made by the son of Colonel Gaddafi, now talking about a ceasefire and talking about negotiations. What do you make of that?
On whose behalf is he negotiating? Saif doesn't even hold an official position in government. And it's not clear that his position will be different from what his dad has said all along. This creates an immediate question that everyone should be asking. What is the plan coming out of Tripoli? Who's speaking for it? Who's articulating that plan? And what does that plan entail? Words of defiance, words that promise to fight on, words that promise further bloodshed don't help the situation, don't assure the outside world, and don't change the facts on the ground.
If he's talking about negotiations right now, is it a clear indication to us that this regime now has its back up against the wall?
Absolutely. I think the statements also in the last couple of days increasingly suggest that they're coming to terms with the reality, at least within the core circle around Gaddafi himself. They're accepting the fact that the eastern part of the country has essentially de facto broke up from the rest of the country. That realization is one step in the direction of assessing where they are. Where do they take it from here, I think, requires consistent statements, not just by Saif, but by Gaddafi himself. Gaddafi's last speech just 2 days ago spoke in one terms, and then he said, and on the rest of the issues, the important issues of a constitution, the freedoms, the demands of the people, Saif will deal with you on these. I don't think the Libyan public, certainly those who are revolting against this regime, are going to take any messages that are contradictory or make false promises after 42 years and give them any more credit than the public outside is.
Okay, Tariq Youssef, let's leave it there for now. Thank you. Let's go back now to London for more on the boatload of people who've arrived from Libya in Malta.
Well, let's go live now to Cal Perry, who's been monitoring developments in Valletta, the capital of Malta, where, as we say, the evacuees have been arriving. So, Cal, tell us what you've witnessed today and whether there are more ships on their way.
Well, Lauren, there are more ships on their way, at least 3 more before midnight. We've seen people coming off the boats, and I'm actually lucky to be joined by Hisham Asadi, who has just recently walked off the boat. If you could tell me first, sir, what were you doing in Tripoli?
I'm on business in Tripoli. I live in Dubai, but my business is in Libya.
And your business is?
In IT. I work for an IT multinational.
What was the situation like on the ground in Tripoli over the past few days?
I was in Tripoli on Saturday afternoon, and it was fairly quiet. I think by Monday, things turned the worst. And for the last 2 days, things have pretty much calmed down. During the daytime, it was very quiet. At night time is when all the activities would take place.
What did you see on the streets and here at night? Was there gunfire? We've heard reports of gunfire. We've heard reports of the government firing on protesters. Did you see any of that?
Well, I did hear a lot of gunfire. I was staying in an area called the Dahra, which is borderline with an area called Fashloom and close to the Green Square. So at night time, yes, we would hear a lot of people would go out on riots, burn things, and we would hear obviously gunfire at night, heavy gunfire.
We've heard from the ambassador here, and he says the situation is under control. The media is overblowing the situation. What's your take on that?
I can only speak for the area where I was staying. I think I certainly, at no point did I see any airplanes bombing streets or bombing protesters. I think there were people hurt. I did see people bleeding on the street on Monday night, I believe, as I was making my way back to the hotel. But at any point, I really never saw any airplanes bombing civilians or bombing people riding in the street. It might have happened, but I certainly didn't see it in Tripoli.
Now, I understand that the ship you were on was at the port for 48 hours, and then it was a 9-hour voyage. Tell me about that.
Yes, this was a kind of a last-minute arrangement by the U.S. Embassy. I think they called all of their citizens, and they asked us to meet at a certain point. When they loaded us up, I'm not sure whether it was a security issue or a weather issue.